you think about what you try to do to get people on board, and it's usually about building culture. And companies who are building culture, they say, well, here's our mission, vision, values. They put all these words on the walls. But it's not the words on the walls that's going to connect people. It's the behaviors in the halls. And it's telling the story about what do these words actually mean. Now, to your point, I don't think that it is possible to get everybody always on the same page. But then maybe those people don't belong in that organization. They belong in a different organization where it's going to align more with who they are. But if you aren't able to tell that story of what those words actually mean, what those behaviors actually look like, there's always going to be a disconnect for people in looking at a word like teamwork and defining that on their own.
Okay, so you just kind of really, I think, gave us a good examples, I should say, about how storytelling connects us as humans. What about, because you did mention earlier about leadership, okay, and humanity in leadership. One of the things you talk about is needing more humanity in leadership. What do you mean by that? Is it, I mean, let me just ask a quick yes or no question, and then I'll let you answer everything you want to say. But are you talking just like empathy and being like somebody real, or is it more than that?
Yes and no. So I can answer it both ways. It's not just about empathy. It's about treating people like people. And I think most of the time we're pretty good at this. But think of it this way: who gets promoted into leadership positions? And I'm going to talk about first-time leaders. So let me just throw this back at you. We'll go back and forth on this. Let's say that a team needs a new leader. Who's the person they promote to be the leader of that team? Typically, who gets promoted as the leader of that team?
The person I would say is usually, I mean, top performer. If you're working for me, it's going to be the top performer that I end up promoting to the leadership spot on my team. If you're not a top performer, no, that's not 100% the case, because sometimes I have someone that is not a top performer, but they are someone who's an excellent coach. And sometimes you need an excellent coach rather than a top performer.
There you go. And so that's the focus on leading like people. If I've got somebody who can coach. But typically what I've seen in business is they say, this person's the top performer. I worked for 10 years in software development, not myself in software development, but software development company. And I would see this all the time with software developers. They get the best software developers, they would promote them to lead the team. But what they didn't give them was any people skills to lead that team. They didn't give them any training on coaching, on developing people. And so how do they treat their people? They treat their people like software code. And that's not your best leadership.
All zero and ones.
Yeah. And so I refer to that as leading like a position rather than a person, that we get people into these first-time leader positions who are great performance in software development or sales or whatever it is you happen to be in. And we plop them in that position and we teach them how to run their budgeting program and how to attend these meetings and create agendas. And we teach them all this process stuff that's about their position, but we don't give them the tools and the skills to treat people like people, to do coaching, to have some empathy with people's problems, to really have the tough conversations that they need to have.